What's
We
up,
are live.
everybody?
What's up, guys?
The Snack Pack coming at you. Hopping on, super hyped for this one. Talking about how to work less and earn more, smart productivity, and results-focused strategies for busy entrepreneurs just like us. Because at the end of the day, we want to make more money and not be working all day. So we can go out and have some fun. So we're going to get this video shared out. And yeah, super hyped to have you guys on. If you are showing up, make sure you drop a comment, say hi, let me know where you're tuning in from.
Yay.
Let's see. Where are you guys sharing this out to?
Friends, come join us in the Badass Communicators Club.
Yeah, I'm sharing it to the Digital Entrepreneur Accelerator community.
Sharing it with Millennial Go-Getters.
I'm gonna share like 8 times.
Let's just all like sit here in silence as people watch it sharing.
You know, we need some theme music. We really need some like opening music. Guys, who wants to write us a song?
A little intro.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Bonus points for whoever writes us a song.
Yeah, guys, we're gonna have a jingle contest. What rhymes with snack pack? Okay, you guys just let me know when you're ready.
Do you guys ever have the hardest times choosing like what emojis to use when you're sharing stuff in your groups? I just stare at them. I'm like, how?
It's three big green checks and I'm good to go.
What's
up, MEC? How's everybody doing? What's that?
Oh, there it is. There's this software called LiveLeap, and as soon as you go live in one source, it automatically shares it all across
nice.
Any platforms. So
literally every time Lois and I hang out, he's like, "There's this software. I don't know if you've heard of this. Like, you don't have to put oranges anymore. It's called Orange." Okay, kids, are we good to go?
There's an app for that.
There's an app for that. Lena,
yeah,
you good?
I think we're about good to go. Everybody's starting to show up. Appreciate you guys showing up. This is gonna be a fun stream. And if you guys are enjoying it, make sure to drop a like, drop a comment, share it out to your other favorite groups, and let everybody know that we're having fun and we're learning a lot. So hype for this one, and yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, friends, hello and welcome to our 3rd snack pack. How exciting. We get together influencers to share the love and share the collaborative spirit of entrepreneurship. We believe in collaboration rather than competition, and we have had some super interesting panel talks that have broken the internet more than Kim Kardashian's that photo. We might even get snack pack swag or a jingle written for us. So if you're a good songwriter and you know what rhymes with snack pack, throw us a jingle and we'll get a shout out.
Yeah, drop a comment.
Drop a comment if you write jingles. Okay, friends. So today's theme, what we want to talk about today is, how do you earn more money by working less? I know we all have heard a zillion times, work smarter, not harder. I believe that we all believe in the power and the value of hard work. And yet, as entrepreneurs who've been in the game for a while, we often guide our clients by saying, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. And I wanted to start off by asking you guys about if you could give a public service announcement to new entrepreneurs and say, darling new entrepreneur, stop doing blank. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your energy. It's not a money-making activity. What would you say to new entrepreneurs to stop doing if their goal is to maximize their time and make as much money as they can online? What would you say?
I have a good one.
Yeah.
I would say stop trying to do everything by yourself. I mean, I see so many new entrepreneurs who years are putting in the wrong time, the wrong effort, wasting so much money on ad spend because it's just like a total blind leading, what's that expression? Blind leading the blind type situation. Like they just have no idea and you're spending so many hours frustrated, Googling, trying this, trying that. Like, why would you waste any of your time doing that when there are people out there, mentors, coaches, consultants, who are many steps ahead of you, who have been where you have been, and who can help you avoid a lot of those mistakes, who can help you avoid wasting a lot of that time, and can help you get ahead in a really accelerated way. I know like that is the number one key in my business, was just keeping the right mentors and coaches in my circle who could just help me avoid all that trial and error and frustration. I never felt like I was alone. I always felt like I had the hands-on support to know exactly what the next steps were. And there was just no nonsense about it. So if you're committed about making this business work, then suck up your pride and stop trying to do it all by yourself, because this is 2018. We're so fortunate, I think, to live in a time where we can connect with anybody, buy anything, sell anything, learn anything from our iPhones, right? So if we're able to do that, why would you not take advantage of it? Get the right people on your team if you want to grow fast.
Love it. Love it. Arne, people are saying, what should I not do? I'm new in business. What mistakes should they be avoiding? What is a time suck that is really not necessary?
I think it's really the whole concept of sitting on the sidelines and not wanting to get in the game. You know, getting in the game activities is the client calls, it's the pitches, it's the kind of really taking an effort to, you know, launch a marketing campaign, ask people to buy your stuff. You know, those really, really important things where you're going out and you're actually moving the ball. Too many people, like myself, when I started up, would be sitting behind the scenes thinking, oh, you know, I'm going to work on these plans. I'm going to, you know, build this logo. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to, you know, okay, maybe I'm going to start working on this guide over here. And then, oh no, I don't want to do that one anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Nothing happens when you're working behind the scenes like that. Like nothing actually moves forward. So understanding that, especially when you're starting out, you have to be like so much more percentage of going out and kicking ass and pitching people and asking for money to grow your business and get your start than you do behind the scenes building logos, you know, making templates and plans and all this other crap that doesn't really matter more until later. You know, that's kind of systems, that kind of planning is really a lot more for scaling. So if you don't even have something that's working yet, don't spend time trying to scale nothing, you know? So really, really just hit the ground running, get your head in the game. And, you know, that's where the big stuff happens. So learn to be okay outside of your comfort zone. And that's where the results will come in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I often see people so early on making their ideal client avatars. And I think that that's useful later when you've seen patterns. But early on, people want to plan so much and they want to study so much. Like, you know, and listen, courses are great. Like we all have courses and we recommend them highly because they will help you advance. But a lot of the time, people want to be a student forever. They just are like, I need to learn more. I need to know more. I need to know more. You will learn more in 1 hour of doing than you will in 10 hours of planning, you know? Like everyone wants you like fill out your, you know, business canvas model or whatever they call it, right? Like you don't have information until you're putting yourself out there. And that's the scary thing, but you have to, it's like non-negotiable that you have to put yourself out there and you have to ask, is this something that would be of interest to you? Like, it's funny because I think, Arne, one thing that you said early on was you don't always know what your people want. Like you have to ask again and again, does this interest you? You might think that because he's, you know, XYZ, how far he is in the game, that he stops asking. But all the time, if you're in his group, in his world, he's often asking, you know, would this interest you? Do you want this? And that's part of the important work to do.
Absolutely. And I think that's the biggest problem people make early on is they make assumptions. And no matter how much you've already sold, no matter how long you've been in business, if you say, my customers want this, and then you create a whole product, you create a whole offer, you create your whole marketing campaign, your copy around what you think they want, instead of taking half an hour to interview a couple of them or, you know, put out a survey, you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So it's just so much easier when you just kind of take a step back and understand that the whole reason your freaking business exists is because it's serving these customers what they need. So why don't you just take a second and ask them what they need?
Yeah. And if they don't want your thing, it's okay because you ask them before you create it. A lot of the time people are just creating things and then they say, okay, how do I sell this book? How do I sell this course? But you didn't have people in advance who were begging for it, right? Do you guys see that a lot? Like people are like, I created this thing now how do I push it out? Because the creation is the fun part. Honestly, like I get it. The creation is the fun part. We're creative people. We want to produce, but do you guys believe what they say about 90% distribution, 10% creation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's exactly 90-10. I think that's a little extreme. But I completely agree. And I have a lot of clients who come to me and they're like, I just spent the past year and a half building out my course and I'm ready to go live. And I'm like, you are doing this in the reverse order. Build up an audience first, get people's trust first. You know, get people to love you first so that by the time that you do launch, it's not crickets on the other hand, which is what happens so much of the time. It's not just about the product. You're right. It's about the audience, the engagement, and the trust. So I'm a big believer that that needs to come first, but 90-10 might be a little extreme.
Yeah. Lewis, in your case, what is public service announcement for young entrepreneurs? Stop wasting your time doing blank.
Yeah, so in correlation to, you know, what Arne mentioned, a lot of people are, you know, focusing so much, like if they already have like their whole business figured out, right? And especially if you are starting out, you want to be able to put all your mental energy into one thing before you just start burning out, right? And I'm all for, if you're diving into something new, like I encourage people to, you know, give this a try and look and take a look at this other thing. But when it comes to the moment of commitment, just commit to one thing, because you cannot commit to 3 things at the same time. It's just not gonna work. And then you're gonna ask yourself, like, you know, where did I go wrong? Like, you're gonna start failing at something because one, you may be trying to build something while you're working your 9 to 5, right? And that alone is already gonna consume a lot of your energy. Like, that's why you need to focus on just one thing, commit. You know, like, there's a bunch of gurus, you know, giving you all this opportunity, and while those things might work, you can't let the shiny object syndrome like really get the best of you. You know, you really have to focus on one thing and then execute, take action. Don't just waste a lot of time planning. And that's something that, you know, I used to think that, you know, I'm grinding it out, I'm executing, I'm putting in the work. But now that I'm around other entrepreneurs and I'm seeing like the type of action, the type of massive action that they're taking on the daily, it's like the thought of just from idea to putting it out, the time frame in between for me has definitely shortened now. And it's like, as soon as I have something, now I'm about to take action. I'm learning as I go, right? Because I can plan this whole entire thing out, but since I have never executed, that, like, my learning experience is in there. The learning happens when you take action and then when you start executing. So that's what I would advise some people.
They say like money follows speed, you know, because a lot of the time we have an idea, we like labor over it for so long. We try to, and you know what it is? It's a fear of vulnerability of putting yourself out there. Cause you're like, if I just I just work out all the kinks in advance, then I won't come into any kind of problems. Like, you just have to be confident enough in yourself and your ability to figure everything out, to realize like you don't get to see the 3rd, 4th, 5th step until you take the 1st, 2nd, 3rd step, you know? And so I think that one thing that our group has always tried to encourage people to do is, I know it's so much easier said than done, just take action, but that's how you get information. And risk embarrassment, like honestly, risk embarrassment, because the more you put yourself out there, like everyone has a comment, everyone has an opinion on you. But at the end of the day, clap for your own self, validate your own self, and don't worry so much about what other people think about you. You know, like Lewis, we have a mutual friend, Johnny, right? Johnny told me, he's like, I do 7 experiments a week. Every week, he's like, I do 7 experiments. And, you know, he is really successful. He's doing a great job at what he does. But he says, like, a lot of my experiments don't work. Duh. That's why it's an experiment, you know?
For sure.
Anything else you guys want to add? Why don't we go into this? Because we didn't actually introduce ourselves, friends. We just wanted to get value all day long.
We're just like, let's go. Let's jump into this.
Let's give them a quick intro because, you know, our peeps are meeting each other's audiences. Say who you are, where people can find you, and what do you help people with? And then we're going to go into my next crazy question. Lena, who are you? Where can people find you? What do you help people with?
Yeah, I'm Lena Elkins, and I live in Tel Aviv. And you can learn more about me at lenaelkins.com. You can also join my Facebook group, Millennial Go-Getters, and I help top-performing millennial entrepreneurs get out of their own way and scale through high level digital marketing, branding, sales copy, all that good stuff. And yeah, that wasn't a very exciting.
It was amazing. It was amazing. It was so good. Luis Alvarado, who are you, broski? Don't be freezing on us.
Guys, and Luis, and I run the. I'm freezing. Am I good now? Am I good?
A little robotic.
So I run a little robotic. Okay. So yeah, my name is Luis, and I run the Digital Entrepreneur Accelerator. In there, I could conduct like interviews like 3 times a week, bringing in experts, just trying to distribute resources and have like a tribe of people that you can go to whenever you have a question. And I help digital entrepreneurs and influencers with paid and organic traffic, and also automation using chatbots, and all those cool little tools that we have available to us nowadays. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. I also dance, and now I get to live the digital nomad lifestyle, which is freaking awesome.
Hey, he doesn't even pay for plane tickets, guys. He just dances to the next country. It's amazing. Give us a move, Luis. Throw us a dance move.
Dance move?
Yeah.
Don't put me on the spot like that.
The whole intro, darling. It's just the whole intro. Okay, Arne, no one's heard of you. Who are you?
Nah.
Who are you?
Get out.
What's going on, guys? I'm Arne Giske. I run the Millennial Entrepreneur Community. We just crossed 44,000 members yesterday, so super hyped about that. And basically, my focus is helping entrepreneurs scale their businesses and use Facebook groups to do that. So growing, getting engagement, and monetizing communities without being spammy is my kind of superpower, and I love helping people do that as well. I think all you guys have taken some notes from me and growing your communities, and it's super awesome to see that. So I really love helping people grow into leaders and then get very well paid to do so. So if you guys like growing Facebook groups, if you guys want to grow your business, if you guys want to have a lot of fun while you're at it, get some killer methods, make sure you drop by fbgroupsforbusiness.com and swing by the Millennial Entrepreneur Community to see how we do it and how we run it in a big group.
Amazing, friends. I gave Arne the idea to go red, so I'll take credit for that. My name is Paloma Lev, and I am the leader of the Badass Communicators Club. The fundamental premise of why I do the work that I do is that I am tired of seeing ridiculously talented people undersell themselves, not be great at pitching their services, not negotiate great on their own behalf, and it's a shame. Because there are so many smart people with so much to give who are really holding themselves back, who are scared to put themselves out there. And my underlying philosophy in everything I do is do not do the busy work to avoid the vulnerable work. And when you do the vulnerable work, the shit that you're scared to do, the putting yourself out there, the communicating with real confidence that you develop from the inside out, that stuff is powerful. It opens doors. And so if you want to sell yourself like a badass, come join our crazy crew in the Badass Communicators Club. And from that, we are going to go into this question, okay? There's a grandma, her name is Gladys, and she wants to start an online business, but she doesn't know anything about the internet, and we can only give her 3 pieces of advice. We want to get her to be making at least $100K a year in her first year of business. You can give Gladys 3 pieces of advice, and that's it. What would you tell Gladys?
Oh, I got this.
Okay.
So Gladys, if you're trying to get started, you really only have to do 3 things. So you have to buy Dan Henry's Funnels and Ads for Entrepreneurs course, buy ClickFunnels, use my affiliate links. That's it. That's it. That's all you got to do.
No shame. How could you abuse Gladys' trust like this?
She trusted you, Arne.
Gladys is going to get results.
She doesn't even know how to use Facebook yet.
Okay, so I have a question about Gladys. Is Gladys intending to build her business with the help of the internet, or she's like a brick and mortar kind of girl?
She would like to have an online business. Gladys would like to have an online business, you know?
So can I tell you something really fun, really quickly? I don't know if I have an answer yet, but actually my best friend, he's developing a platform right now called Nanny G's. And this is specifically what it's for. It's to help old people sell their shit. on the internet, be making it super accessible, and they're going to have volunteers who are going to go and help them. Isn't that the cutest thing ever?
That's amazing. Wow.
And then besides that, I don't have a good answer yet. You know what? Okay, Gladys. Okay, this is actually very similar to what I said before. Gladys, you shouldn't be trying to do this by yourself, girl. You need to get somebody in your house who can help you learn how to turn on the computer and turn on the internet and do because there's just no way you're going to be making 6 figures on your own. So find somebody, find a grandkid, find a coach, a neighbor, somebody who can help you at least like start a basic website or a basic Facebook page with the essentials on it. That's my tip number 1, and I'm going to keep thinking of the other 2.
Okay.
All righty.
Yeah, let's go for it.
You got. All right, cool. So first,
it's Abuela, the grandma, okay?
Abuela Gladys. So number 1, get that knowledge, right? Because a lot of people are always asking questions, and based on their questions, I'm like, you wouldn't be asking these questions if you had the previous knowledge. You're asking the wrong questions because you don't know a certain subject. And the fastest way to get and attain that knowledge is really by investing in yourself into a mentor, and that's what we all preach, and that's where we're at today, because we always have people in the different areas of our lives that are helping us in that direction. Because after we've completed, step 1, sometimes we may not have clarity on what step 2 is. And then that's when the mentor comes in, and that's when he tells you, okay, like after you've done this, now you go ahead and do that. No, you shouldn't be doing this because that's not the way to do it, or there's a shortcut to doing this, right? And so then it becomes micro steps every single day to get to the outcome that you want to achieve. So get the mentor. Number 2, invest in ClickFunnels too. And number 3, let's see. Come back to me on number 3. What's up, Amanda?
Your response was so powerful. A snack packer just dropped from the heavens to tell us that she has a grandma named Gladys. Amanda, hello and welcome. Hello.
Hey guys, what's up? LA time. It's funny that you mentioned Gladys because that's actually like my grandmother's name. So legit.
It's a lot of
actually helping my grandma right now, guys.
I hope that your grandma's watching right now.
So send this replay to grandma after, and she'll have a 6-figure business in no time.
Tell her to send us some cookies. That would be really lovely.
Yes. Oh, so good. So good.
So friends, if you don't know Amanda yet, Amanda's pretty freaking cool. She's one of our classic necessary snack packers. So darling, why don't you give us like a quick intro? Who the bleep are you? And give some advice for #Gladys to get into the #entrepreneur game.
Yeah, for sure. So heads up, guys, I like to like randomly creep in on videos and come in towards the end. That's my thing. No, it's just time zones. But pretty much, my name is Amanda. I am a thought leadership coach for Gen Y, and I help turn millennial entrepreneurs into mission-driven thought leaders in their space. And I do that through personal branding and helping them set up influencer marketing and brand partnerships. And as far as helping my grandma out today, so what advice I would end up giving her is getting really clear on who you are. You always want to start with who you are first before you could ever lead in a really magnificent way and attract clients in a really magnificent way. At the end of the day, people respond to who you are, and they decide to want to work with you because there's something about your personality, there's something about the results you give that they really connect with. So getting really clear on who you are, getting really hella confident, like how Paloma teaches and Lena teaches and everybody on this call is really good at. And also just what the tools that you would need to really attract clients is you got to know what you're selling, and you got to sell it directly back to what your ideal client wants. Like figure out who they are and then give them exactly what they asked for back to them. And then it's going to feel like you're mind reading them. And they're like, wow, I was looking exactly for this. This is perfect.
Right.
So a lot of it, I would say, is just human psychology is at the core of everything. If you could really understand human psychology, you're going to be a badass in entrepreneurship.
Yes, I love that. And you know what? I think that I would start off by telling Gladys, everyone thinks that they have disadvantages in the game for some reason. So it is highly likely that Gladys feels that because of her age, she's at a disadvantage. This is what I call anti-branding, which is essentially take the thing that you think puts you out the running and actually feature that. So I don't know about you guys, but wouldn't you guys tune in to watch? Listen, we don't have time to watch all the live streams we want. But if I see like cute little old Gladys coming up there being like, here's what like the 1920s were like, I'll be like, okay, Gladys, like, interesting. Tell me, what was it like before like microwaves? How did you make popcorn, Gladys? Please tell me. How do you knit a sweater, Gladys? Why do you love Werther's Original? You know what I mean? So like just share your life with us. And you know, like personality marketing, your personality is the thing. Like everyone is so worried about competition, right? If you have freaking personality, you don't have competition. You are a monopoly on your unique style, your unique system, your unique analogies you use to explain. Yeah, other people teach shit that you teach, okay? Get over it. But stop looking side to side and be like, okay, this person, whatever. No, exactly like Amanda said, know who you are, find some way to broadcast it. If it's YouTube, if it's Facebook, whatever it is. And then, you know, figure out something that you can give people that they badly want. And that takes a lot of conversations of listening and asking great questions, figure out what people's highest aspiration is and their deepest point of pain is, figure that out. And then ask high. A lot of people want to price low. And Lewis and I actually were talking about this on a call the other day. A lot of people want to price low because they think that if I just ask for a little bit, then I'm allowed to be bad. Like if I just don't ask for a lot, it's okay because I'm new and I'm not great. I say price high and live up to your prices, right? Figure out, like, learn what you have to learn, increase your skill level, and figure out how to give generously. So I would say to Gladys, put yourself into the world, show your personality, figure out what people want, and ask high. It's really not, I think that a lot of people look at it and think it's rocket science. It's not.
Yeah, your personality sells. At the end of the day, the only thing that's separating, because everybody can be talented. Like the internet makes it really easy for everybody to be talented. Like sit in front of a screen, you can learn anything and be good at anything. Like literally hire a coach and the coach can train you how to be good at it, right? Yeah. But your personality is the differentiator. Like your personality is how you attract your audience. Your personality is how you attract like what you have going on. Your personality is why people are following you versus that other marketer or following you versus that other coach. Because with all things being equal, a lot of us, we all get results. like we all get results. But the thing that separates us is our personality, and maybe one client might identify with someone else versus another.
Right.
Yep.
And you know, like the closer you are to other people, the more easily you can influence them, right? And so being who you are and showing your personality is another way of building deep, not just rapport, but like the next level up, which is connection, right? Like so many people are thinking like, how do I influence people? Well, get close to people, become friends with people, like actually genuinely care for them. People can tell, like people's bullshit-ometers are like ringing off the hook when you're fake. So figure out who you are. And Gladys, you have advantages that some of us young whippersnappers, we don't have, you know? So send this to your grandma, girlfriend. Send this to your grandma. Gladys, drop a comment below if that was useful. Yeah.
Drop a comment if you're already making 6 figures from that advice.
You're over 90 years old.
That's amazing. So I would love to transition into money blocks, because I feel that one reason that a lot of people are not, they are having discovery calls, they're having sales calls, but they're either not asking for enough or they're not asking in a confident way. And And I believe that a lot of the time it comes from a fundamental belief that either money is bad, asking is bad, or that if you're doing work that you're really passionate about, if you're doing work that you really should be doing, then you should be a starving artist, which is complete bullshit-a-roni. Would you guys please explain to our audience, why is that bullshit-a-roni that you should not, if you're doing great work, it doesn't mean you have to be a starving artist? Because I feel like that's a big theme that I see.
Yeah, so I think with that one, the biggest thing is people haven't fully understood what they're bringing to the table yet. And they don't have the complete confidence in their offer and how much they can impact and change people's lives. Like, you should be feeling like, wow, I'm probably undercharging right now. You're getting a steal of a deal. Like, by me giving you all of this for X dollars, like, this is going to change your life X, Y, and Z. Here's how. It's going to be awesome. And just having that pure excitement that, like, you get to make that big of a difference in somebody's life. And whatever that you do, whatever you bring to the table can be that revolutionary for somebody where you're like, well, yeah, it costs this much. Like, that's a great deal. You know, you're gonna crush it. You're gonna get X, Y, and Z results. But when people see it as they're going into a call and they have to ask for money and they feel like they're taking money, they're taking value, and like robbing people. Like, that's what's going on in people's heads. They're like, well, if I ask them for money, I'm going to be like robbing them. I'm going to be, taking this without providing something of more value in return. So I think it has to do with kind of two things. Number one, the confidence in the offer, confidence in yourself and your ability to deliver and to change lives. And that comes with time, practice, and mindset. So that was actually a really, really big challenge for me. And let's see, it was March 2016, so almost 2 years ago. I had about a dozen sales calls and 0 sales, nothing, nada. This is right as I was starting up my agency business. And I was just totally beaten down, call after call, thinking these people don't want to work with me. I'm not good enough. My team can't deliver, blah, blah, blah. All these different things that are going through my head the whole time of I'm not good enough. I'm not the right fit. And who wants to work with somebody who thinks like that? Because that comes through your communication, whether or not you know it. So I'm over there trying to, pitch services and different things. And people were just kind of like, they could sense that energy. But I had a seriously kind of like life-changing call with a good buddy of mine, Jeff Paulette. So he had been in the agency world a couple of years before I was at that time. And I talked to him about it. I was like, man, I'm struggling. I had 12 calls and nothing happened. And he said, all right, let's talk. Let's, figure out what's going on. And he said, right now you have zero confidence in your ability to actually make a difference. You think that you are taking money from people without changing their lives. You think that you're not good enough. You think that your team's not good enough. You think that, you're not going to really actually help people. And he said, all right, so you have to flip that upside down. I want you to write out exactly why you think you're capable, why you think your team's capable, how you change people's lives, how people are positively impacted by working with you. And just like all these little exercises, like for everybody out there watching, do that. Think about how you can change lives. Think about how you can bring value and really help people. And then once you see that all on paper, look at that before every single phone call you get on. You're like, wow, I'm pretty powerful. And that kind of kills all your own imposter syndrome. And then you go in and then you kick ass and you close deals and then you change lives.
Right.
Boom.
Arne, could you just quickly tell them the example? I remember you said on one of your live streams, like if you go to a grocery store, you remember that example you gave?
Yeah. It's like, so when you go to the grocery store and you walk up and you get your groceries, the clerk is like, all right, that'll be $42.50. And you're like, okay, cool. And then you buy your groceries and then you leave. But like, there's so many people in like service-based businesses and people are like, hey, I want some coaching. How can you help me out? And they're like, it'll be $42.50. And then people are like, how confident is this person in their groceries? Like, you must have some sketchy groceries if you're cringing at telling me your prices. So like, think about it. It's, it's very different than selling a commodity. But once you kind of get into the rhythm of it, you're like, here's what we do. Here's how we change lives. Here's how we charge.
And conversely,
often or not.
And you wouldn't feel bad if you're the grocery store owner. You wouldn't feel bad to say, yo, it's $42.50 for your groceries, right?
Yeah.
You know, like it's just obvious that in that way it's a value exchange. But I think that when people start to sell services, the truth is when we are selling services, we're selling a thinly veiled version of ourselves. That's why it's so vulnerable, because people find, and this is classic negotiation, people find it really easy to negotiate on other people's behalf. They don't find it as easy to negotiate on their own behalf. So it's like the example that I often give clients is like, you have a little dog. Lena, what's your dog's name?
Embarrassing. Her name is Alabama.
Okay, let's say her dog had like a normal name like Fluffy, okay? So, so you take your dog is just like not feeling well. I don't know, maybe she's having like mad doggy diarrhea, and you take her to the vet and there's like one appointment left, right? You're gonna fight like hell for Fluffy Alabama, right? But let's say there's just one appointment left and it's for you, you're not gonna fight as hard on your own behalf. And so there's a mindset shift that needs to happen when you're on your sales calls, on your discovery calls. You think that you are fighting on your own behalf. If your sales calls aren't going well, it's because you think, like Arne was saying, that you're taking, but also you believe that you're fighting on your own behalf. Like your thing is like, I want to make the money. I want to make the money, right? On my sales calls, I know that anyone who gets the privilege of working with me is so freaking lucky that I just feel bad for them if they miss out on that opportunity. And so I'm fighting on their behalf. I know this shit. I use this stuff. It helps me every day of my life and in my business. I've been working for myself since I was 19. And so I know that I want that for them. And when you want things for people, I often, give people this assignment: write a love letter to your ideal client, okay? Because if you just think that this is a transactional exchange, then you're not going to be representing yourself or selling your services as well as you could be. Write a love letter to your ideal client and use these lines. What I want for you is blank, and what I would hate for you is blank, right? That way you're developing a vision on behalf of your client, and you're simply offering them access to that vision. And what is the A to B? Well, that's you, that's your service, that's your product, that's what gets them there. But stop thinking that you are A, taking away from them, B, that you're hurting them by asking them for money. Actually, when they're giving you 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is, really they're just saying yes to themselves. I say to them, you're not saying yes to me. I already said yes to me. I already said yes to me, and I had a shitload of clients who already said yes to me. So I don't need you to say yes to me. This is you deciding to say yes to yourself. And, there are moments where I've had like 1 or 2 or 3 discovery calls with one person. That person's not saying no to me. They're just scared. They're scared of what an investment means. They're scared of betting on themselves. So if you can switch your mindset to, I'm fighting for this person because I know the good I want to give, it totally helps you become an advocate, as opposed to someone who's just like, you feel like you're pushing or for money. Amanda or Lewis, anything you guys want to say on money blocks?
Yeah, I actually want to share when it comes to identifying your sales strategy in relation to that money block.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, this is huge actually. So something that shifted my mindset when it came to money was I thought I was receiving the money from the client, which technically you are, but mindset shift. When you do great work and when you put your work out there and when you show up to your fullest extent and you're like, hey, this is who I am consistently, your full expression of you, God in the universe is going to provide, right? And so it might manifest in that client showing up and paying you today. It might manifest in someone else saying, hey, like I want to invest in you here. I want to invest in you there. So it's just being not attached to where it shows up, but just trusting that if you're putting in the work and you're showing and you're in alignment with who you are, you're in alignment with the quality of work that you're showing up with, trusting, not being attached to where it's going to show up, because it could show up in a variety of ways. You could get tomorrow, everybody on this call could be offered to be featured on some reality TV show, and then you land a big deal, right? Just not being attached to where it shows up is one. And then 2, I think so many entrepreneurs pigeonhole themselves into strategies that do not fit their energy. Meaning, that they follow certain strategies because some guru on a hill told them that's the only sales strategy to do. Or some guru on a hill said, if you want to be an amazing 6-figure marketer, you have to do webinars, or you have to do Facebook ads, or you have to do, Instagram marketing, or whatever the thing is. What you need to do as an entrepreneur is you need to take a moment, shut off Facebook, shut off Instagram, shut off all distractions, and go within and ask yourself, what's going to be my strategy? What is something that, one, I can be consistent with, and two, I can wake up every day and say yes to? Like, that's the thing you need to do, because when it comes to this money blocks and like mindset stuff, if you're doing the wrong strategy over and over and over again, that's going to kill your confidence, kill your self-esteem, kill like any drive you have to like want to show up at your fullest extent. So a lot of times we're actually doing the wrong strategy. Like for me, I did free discovery calls for years. And I was good at them, but I was like, I hated it. To be honest, I hated free discovery calls with a passion. But I made myself like them because that's what every coach was doing. Like every coach was like, you have to do free discovery calls. And then Paloma, it wasn't until like our mastermind with Brendan, and he was like, I charge for my discovery calls. And that was like mind blowing for me. That felt so damn good. I was like, what? He's like, yeah. And then I turned them into like these like epic, like intensive. So I'm coaching on the call, I'm giving them strategies. So whoever signs up for it, it's like I do a whole analysis on their business and that, and give them a strategy. And then I upsell them to one of my bigger programs from there. And everybody who does it enjoys it 10 times more than hopping on a free discovery call. And I was like, that feels so good. So I completely dropped free discovery calls. I deleted all my Calendlies for free discovery calls in 2018. I said, not doing this shit no more.
Yeah. Good for you, girl.
And I was in San Francisco. I started charging like $797 for the new onboarding intensive, right? That's a foundational requirement. The easiest funnel I've ever done in my life went from selling that $797 intensive, doing that coaching intensive the next day, upselling to a 4-month signature program right afterwards, literally within 48 hours. So like, you gotta do stuff that feels good to you. Don't do it because everybody else says to do it. Like that will block off money for you. That will block off opportunities for you.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's beautiful. And at the end of the day, I'm curious about your experiences when you started to charge more. But it was a profound realization for me when I realized it's not that much harder to get someone to pay $50, $500, and $5,000, right? Like, I don't know if you guys had that experience, but basically they say it doesn't take more energy to play a bigger game. And the kind of crazy thing is, I thought about it like this. You earn money in units, right? So perhaps early on you were charging like $100 an hour, and that seemed like huge leaps, right? But you can basically count it out, like how many of these leaps do I need to take to get to my end goal, right? Well, what if your leaps are $5,000 leaps or $10,000 leaps, right? I think a lot of people are scared to ask that much because they don't know how to give that much. It's not a thing. It's not a challenge of receiving. When you get to a place that you realize, like, I have never in my life been able to give as much as I'm able to give right now, it makes me feel really good about putting a high price tag on working with me, right? And so your challenge is not a challenge of receiving, it's a challenge of giving. When you think of wealth, you think of it as a kind of accumulation, but wealth is really just the ability to give generously. So a lot of the time we need to just build systems that allow us to give to more people, or we need to be able to give more deeply, or we have to realize that we're not in the business of just giving information. We're in the business of producing a transformation, right? And a lot of this has to do with how you think about yourself as an expert and what your role is, right? You are not a commodity. And if you're talking with people who are price comparing, who are like, oh, you're this price, well, this other person's like $1,000 less. That means that they're like comparing you like you're a tube of toothpaste or your box of Kleenex, right? And so you need to understand, you need to refuse commodification. You need to refuse being treated like you're a commodity and realize why you have a monopoly on your particular, like, you can't get another Paloma. You can't get another Amanda. You can't get another Arne. I'm sure there's lots of Lena. No, I'm joking. No, like, you're still alive there.
Got him.
I love you, Lena. No, but like, guys, the reason that we are not scared about coming together collaboratively. I just need to make sure Lewis is alive. Like, Lewis, you got a pulse? You're good? Okay.
I'm here.
It's like when you realize that, like, you are a unique Spice Girl, okay? There's no other Spice Girl who has your super talents to do it exactly as you do it. You stop being so freaking scared of the competition. Like, this whole idea of the competition is such a, like, weird idea. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, guys, I've had people that, like, are in a similar group to my group, and they said to me, Paloma, I came to you. I know there's this other group that does this similar, like, sales thing or confidence thing, whatever, but I came to you because I vibe with you, or there's a chemistry, or I feel like you could be my sister or my friend, whatever, you know? Like, and then you'll be surprised that people that are in different places in the world that you didn't even know you're influencing just by being exactly who you are will message you. You know, like a woman from Bulgaria, I hadn't even talked to her before, and she bought my course. And I was like, how beautiful is it that you showing up in your full fire, like, allows other people to do the same? The first negotiation is you versus yourself. And when you figure out that you versus yourself negotiation, I promise the ones around you are easier. Everyone thinks that their challenges are external. It's 100% internal, because other people are simply mirrors of you. And when you have price anxiety, other people have price anxiety. When you say your price and you don't negotiate against yourself, as soon as there's a little bit of resistance, you say, oh, well, I can offer a payment plan and this and that, and maybe I could give you a discount. No. Like, if you stop your anxiety about price, it really the work has to be done on ourselves first, and then the people around us mirror that. Anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the emotional attachment that we have, like, towards money, right? Because when I grew up, am I good?
It's a little choppy.
Right. I think I can up a little bit. Yeah, it's a little choppy. How about now?
It's okay now.
While he's choppy, guys, I'm
okay,
really
so
sorry
I'll
to
just...
do this. I have to go. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna
It's
have
okay,
to watch the replay. You guys
We
are
love
amazing.
you.
It's already almost
We'll
10
see you
p.m. here. I'm
soon.
sorry. I love
See
you
ya.
guys. I'm gonna watch the replay later. Whatever Lewis is about to say, it's gonna kill it. It's gonna be a game changer.
Darling, you on our next one.
Love you guys. Talk
Bye.
later. Bye.
Bye.
Sorry, Lewis, go ahead.
Okay, so no, you guys are good. So yeah, like, I grew up with this negative attachment towards money, right? And like, because I didn't grow up with a whole bunch of stuff. You know, for me, it was like we weren't like extremely poor, but we couldn't afford a bunch of stuff. And so with that mentality, and like, having seen my parents to worry about, oh, I can't pay for this, I can't afford this and that, like, it just like, in your mentality, it's like, crap, like, we need money in order to survive out here. And then now that I'm in this whole entrepreneurship journey, and this is what I try to share with everybody, it's, if you start, I made a post like a few weeks back. I'm like, if you want to be rich, you got to start rich. Like, what are you grateful for right now? Like, just all a matter of how connected you are, like, with money, right? Like, money is not the source of my pain or my pleasure, and it's neither of anybody that's in here as well. Like, we don't look at money as like, oh, because we have this, we live this. Like, I have my family, I have my friends, the basics that you need in life, and that's it. That's all you need to be fulfilled, and like, it all starts from within. And if you appreciate that, like, you just look at money in a completely different sense. And so now the journey towards money, it becomes fun. Like, wealth is just a way to me to achieve what matters most to life. It's something that I need this to get this, that, and like, I don't get depressed if I this or that. Like, no, I have no attachment towards that, and I have some people do because they haven't experienced the both ends of the spectrum, right? Because the people say, oh, you know, he's happy because he has all this. And it's like, oh, you haven't been there, so you can't assume. And a lot of people have that mental struggle. And then once I had that shift, it was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much I have or how little I have, because what matters in life really, like, I already have that, you know. And what matters most to me is my parents. Like you know, I have told Paloma, like, I'm on a mission to retire my parents. Like, that's my drive. Like, that's what makes me want to do everything that I'm doing online. And that's my goal. And when I identify with other people that are immigrants too, you know, being able to come here to the US and pursue what we love, it just changes the game. And you know, you don't focus, you change your mindset on what money truly means. And then you don't look at it in negatives anymore. So
Lewis, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. Yeah, I often find that fearing money and fetishizing money are two sides of the same coin. You know, you're either like afraid of receiving it, or you think it's the be all end all. I believe it was Mark Cuban who said, like, one of the biggest challenges of being rich is there's not enough good things to buy, which is funny. But also, if you think about it, what, like, yes, you can buy yourself luxuries, you can buy yourself ease, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who have a shitload of money who are supremely unhappy, you know? And there are a lot of people, like, you know, Arne, I'm sure you experience this going all around the world, people who might not be financially, you know, as abundant, but who have been able to create so much joy from within. It's kind of funny when you think about, like, what would you, okay, let's say this, you're like dying for $1 million. Okay, let's say $1 million drops into your account. Like, what fundamentally would change? At the end of the day, what I think about, if I, you know, double, triple, quadruple what I've made, I want more people. I love people so much. This Saturday, I'm throwing an entrepreneur party in Toronto. Lewis was at my entrepreneur party I put in New York. I've done 10 online entrepreneur parties because entrepreneurs are my people. I love them as humans because they're working on themselves and they understand the possibilities in life, and they're not playing this game like defensively. Like, they're actually going out there and proactively making deals and realizing that this freaking world is constructed and authority is constructed and anyone could be an authority. That's why I freaking love entrepreneurs. So if you think about what you would actually do with that money, like Tim Ferriss talks about this, like, just do the thing you want to do now. And if you're resourceful enough, like, money is one chip. Money is one vehicle for negotiation. But when you don't have it, you still figure out ways to get what you want. When I started in my entrepreneurial career, everything was a barter. Everything was a trade. You just need to get great at pitching a collaboration and explain to them why what you can give them is better than you giving them money, right? And so I think that people are, like, scared of it because everyone, no matter what, like, our parents had some kind of thing about money, or like there was something like that we had to, like, work out. And a big part of entrepreneurship is relearning and reparenting yourself and unlearning and reteaching yourself about your, you know, relationship to money. And the ability to receive. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but after you make a big sale, it can be kind of emotional or overwhelming. Have you guys ever had that?
Yeah, I think one interesting thing kind of goes back a couple of points of what you said earlier of, you know, there's a lot of people who have a lot of money and are unhappy. And I remember one time I did a big launch and I made $17,500 in 48 hours. Yeah. And I was sitting in an Airbnb in Argentina, and I was all alone. I didn't really have many friends there. I was like, this isn't even that cool. Like, I was like, well, cool, I got a bunch of money, but like, okay, what am I get? Even right now, what am I gonna go do with it? You know, go buy a fancy dinner. Right. And that really kind of helped me reevaluate my priorities and really remind myself that I do what I do because I really value communities and I like helping people build communities, and I love communities myself and being a part of them, offline and online. So that was kind of a good wake up call in terms of, okay, even if I did have $1 million plop into my bank, like you said, what does that actually mean? You know, what could I do with that? How is that going to change my life and change the lives of the people around me?
Right.
So it was a really, really interesting kind of experience to go through. Like you said, it was like, okay, this is awesome, but yeah. Like, what does this mean?
It's kind of interesting because I tend to think about and explain people who are new to the entrepreneurial world who think that it's all about accumulation. Like the more influence you have, you realize that you just have more projects of how you want to give. And I know, like, guys, I know it's so freaking cheesy. Like Lewis and I always joke about, like, take a shot every time someone says give value, because it's just so cheesy at this point. Maybe we need to come up with like a different way of saying it. But business is really like a three-legged race where you are tied to your client's leg. And if you guys can get to the end together, you can get to the end. But you can't go without them and they can't go without you. And so it's like, if you want to take a step forward, then help them take a step forward. And it doesn't slow it down. It actually makes it so much more satisfying when you guys like all win together. Or when you see the ripple effects of when you help build other people as leaders, then you see that they start leading a tribe, and it really is the kind of influence where you can have like secondary or levels of influence, where it's not just that person directly, but you are building up people as leaders and allowing them to do it in their own right, you know?
Yeah, we're not followers to be saved, we're leaders to be awakened. And I think really good coaches and really good mentors have that philosophy where you're not taking on clients to quote unquote save them, or like they need you, or like any of this like limiting mindset, but you're taking on clients because you see a leader within them and you're helping them to awaken that leader within them. Because imagine, I know leadership gets thrown around like water. It's like, hey, we're spraying water all over the place. Leadership here, leadership there. But really, I think what could really benefit globally the world and solve a lot of the world's issues is through self-leadership. Meaning, if everybody really dived deep into self-leadership, awaken the inner leader within them, we wouldn't have a lot of the different issues that we have, because there's self-leadership. When I have self-leadership and I like address my community around me and I lead my community and help them become leaders as well, there's no issues where people are like, well, someone else is supposed to do that, or someone else is supposed to do that, or like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Everybody's like, no, I'm going to do this. And whatever that this is going to be in their life, right?
Definitely.
So, I think entrepreneurship is definitely an awesome platform for that. And I agree with Arne, like there's definitely a movement for building like really big communities. And I think we could do some really good work here.
Definitely.
Sure.
Friend, you want to influence other people, influence yourself first.
Yeah.
There's nothing more incredible and inspiring. Like you can say all day, like work out, work out, work out. Show us your before and after, you know, show us what you've done, and trust me, we'll ask you, what did you do? Right? So I'd love to ask you guys this as one of our like final questions. A lot of the time I hear my clients say, and I'm sure you guys hear your clients say, my prospects just don't have money. Like, you know, I go on all these discovery calls, but like no one has money, or in my niche, people don't have money. Amanda, I know you have some good stuff to say on this. We'll start, Lewis, anything that you want to say about that for when people say like, but people in my niche just don't have money. Like, I just keep getting that objection, that money objection. What do you say to that?
So when people are asking or like saying that they do not have money in that specific niche, that's what
so it's like a lot of experts who want to sell their services, they go on these discovery calls, they go on these sales calls, and then they come back to us and they say, but Paloma, the people that I'm pitching to, they just don't have money. They just, you know, my people just, they don't invest in themselves or anything like that. What would you say to them?
Yeah, so like you may not be looking at the right place, like where the people hang out, where your customers are. You know, you're probably like you're looking there where they hang out in the wrong place. So you need to go back and do your customer research, because that's before everything that you do, before you even start anything, you need to have your research done properly before starting anything up. And that's why the whole research process for me it's huge, right? Because I don't start anything. I like first go ahead and ask questions. Is this something that people actually need? If they don't need it, why am I going to create something, right? And if they do need it, but they don't have money, why am I going to perceive that? So it even goes back to what I was saying earlier. If they're asking this type of question, they need the knowledge to like, they need to consume more information and gain more knowledge on the subject, because they're not asking the right thing. So we take a few steps back, and instead of being here, now we need to like really focus on the front end of like doing that research, right? Because you wouldn't be asking that question if you asked the right questions, and if you went ahead and say, okay, like I studied this market, I know what I need to know about this market. I asked these people that may need my service the right questions, and then move, go forward from there.
Yeah. And the question is like, is that your limiting belief, or is that them? Or is it they can't afford you, or is it that they won't afford you? You know, there's a difference, because there are a lot of people who are like, I can't afford that. And then next thing you know, they're investing like double in someone else's coaching. And so a lot of the time that's like the narrative that you tell yourself to protect your own ego, where you're like, my people just don't have money. At the end of the day, if somebody wants something, someone really wants something, look at what people do for love, okay? Look at what people do, like starting wars. Like if people want something, they'll typically find a way. And so I would often look at the person themselves and say, like, do you have anxieties about how much you're charging? You know, because it really often starts with you. Amanda and Arne, anything you want to say on this when people say, like, my prospects just don't have money?
Yeah. Okay. So first off, it's there's two questions to be asked. The first question is, are you, for example, I'll use you're a speaker. You're speaking in schools, right? Is your target audience school children, or is your target audience the decision maker who signs the check? So your target audience is actually the decision maker who signs the check. Your content is related to school children. So just being really intentional on who the decision maker is at all times with your target audience. And then two, you need to get 10 times more specific on who you're going to actually pick up the phone and work with. Like who's on that receiving end and who are you serving? Like I hear a lot of times people say, oh, I help millennial entrepreneurs. I'm like, that's not specific enough. They're like, what do you mean? Well, I help millennial coaches. I'm like, that's still not specific enough. They're like, I help millennial coaches who do mindset. And I'm like, it's still not specific enough. And they're like, what do you mean? And you want to go specific and say, I help millennial entrepreneurs who are ready to invest within the next week or two. That's your ideal client. I am working with millennial entrepreneurs who have money in the bank, who are ready to invest within the next week or two and are specifically looking for a coach or a consultant like me. That's a very specific target audience, and that's going to help you create content, create marketing, which is your filters to attract in that specific client. So if you notice that you're getting a lot of people on your calls who are like, oh, I don't have money, or like, this is cool, but you know, I'll manifest it one day or something like that. Or like whatever.
My thing that I find most annoying, guys, is I just need to close one more client in the next week and then I'll be able to pay you. That drives me nuts. Be like, you need me to teach you how to close that client. So that, you know what I mean? That annoys me.
And so that's not your ideal client, because your ideal client has enough of a mindset shift within them that they're like, they've already gone through the pain points so much that they're ready to say like, bump it. You're amazing at what you do. Here's my credit card. Let's do this. Like that's the type of writing you have to have in your marketing and your Facebook lives and your sales pages and your opt-ins to call in that type of person. So when you have that specific of who your ideal client is, and just ask yourself, I love knowing that my ideal client does this. Like think about like the perfect ideal client, get super descriptive on everything they would do, who they are, and then create content specifically for them, like dive deeper into them. Like if I keep using puppy pads analogy, but it's such a good analogy. You can literally create a brand and a business on anything. You just got to be really creative on who's the decision maker and who's going to be your audience. Like You could be a puppy pads expert, reach out to Petco and say like, hey, I want to do a webinar seminar with you. You have an amazing brand partnership. Petco's paying you amazingly. And now you are a puppy pads expert. Like,
what is that, Amanda?
So I have a family dog back home and he uses puppy pads.
So like when puppies have their period?
Pads.
No, got it. It's like
Okay.
instead of newspaper.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like a
that's
little
what I'm
diaper.
saying. It's just like a random thing to be an expert on. You're like, this is the best. This is the best product. But what I'm saying is you could be an expert on anything, like literally anything. It just has to be packaged right and has the right exposure strategy behind it.
I heard that there was a course on how to keep your orchids, like the flower, how to keep your orchids alive that was selling like $1 million per year or something. So I remember when I was 19, my mama took me to Dan Kennedy's marketing conference in Chicago. And I just remember them saying like, trust me, there's no thing that's too niche to sell. There was this woman who started off with like, she was a mom. She did like cool hairstyles for her kids. And then all the other moms were like, oh my God, Sally, or whatever the hell her name was. How did you do such cool hair for your kids? And she put out a newsletter, like here's like kids hair newsletter daily or whatever the hell. And she ended up making money people how to do their kids' hair. Like the argument that like my people don't have money, most people are on Facebook. Your niche is on Facebook, like, you know, and the decision makers are, you know, they're there. So Arne, anything that you would say to that, to the people who are like, my people just don't have money?
Yeah, there's a whole laundry list of things that could be causing that. But at its core, there are actually people who are not in a position to do it. So one thing I learned, this is straight from Russell Brunson. He says when he looks at entering a market, he looks at whether they are willing and able. So willing is one thing. Awesome, cool. You want my thing. Able is another question. So this is something that came up. I had I talked to somebody who was attempting to sell to music teachers of public schools. They had a website that could help these music teachers, and it had all these articles and all this stuff. And they wanted to put together things to sell to this audience. He said, well, you know, it's not they have to go get it cleared with the school. They have to do this, they have to do that. And it's their decision to throw down money for this kind of thing. So they're willing. They're like, yeah, I want the thing. Are they able? No. So that's actually a thing. But past that, if somebody is willing and able, but they still say that, it's got to be something deeper. It's got to be something they don't understand about the value. It's got to be something about they're not in the position to receive that value right now. And that is another really important thing. Is it doesn't matter, you know, if you have $100 bill and you show it to a homeless person and Bill Gates gets $100 bill. That's the same exact thing with the products and services. If you take your product and your service, and you show it to somebody who makes $1,000 a month versus somebody who makes 20 grand a month, the person making $1,000 a month, you know, I really can't afford that right now. I'm not in a position to receive that value. But the person making more that can invest, it's like, hell yeah, this is awesome. So you really got to think about who you're getting in front of. And if you see over and over and over again, I can't afford this, I don't see the value in it, it's got to be your communication or the people you're talking to. Those are the two biggest things that are going to hold you back. So look at those. And also look at in the beginning of your calls or even before calls or even before your funnel, really try and talk to people. Say, hey, you know, why did you feel pulled to talk to me and get my help now? And they're gonna be like, well, you know, I've been really struggling with blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, you know, what's that mean for you? What would that do to have that fixed? They'll be like, oh, well, it would help me get blah, blah, blah. And that's also where you kind of understand the caliber of the people you're talking to. Because if they say, oh, well, if you know, if you help me out, then I can make an extra $1,000 a month. Okay, cool. Or somebody's gonna say, if you help me out, I can make an extra 30 grand a month. Okay, cool. Well, there's definitely a lot better chance that we're gonna work together. So just think about, you know, how people communicate about themselves too, because it's not always a reflection of you.
Right. Amazing, friends. Okay, last question, then we're gonna go. Okay. So a lot of the time you get this question of like, what's your biggest mistake that you've made throughout your entrepreneurial career? I want to know the opposite. What did you do right that you want to encourage other people to do? So this is like feel free to toot your own horn. What is something that you're proud of, a move that you made that really was a good move to make? Lewis, is that a bad
yeah,
you want to go?
Yeah. I'll go just because I have to go after this one, guys.
Yeah.
So the thing was committing to something, and it was mentorship, right? And then figuring out where I was gonna get the money from. Like, if I didn't make that commitment, like I wouldn't have been like, oh shit, like I need to figure out like how am I gonna be able to pay for this, right? And just doing that, like committing and then figuring it out, right? Like we were talking about earlier, going from just having an idea to now going ahead and executing it. Same thing. And then that's always like, now that's been my mindset. It's like commit to it and then figuring it out. And then I wouldn't be where I am right. I wouldn't be hanging with you guys right now if I didn't make that commitment first and then trying to figure it out. Like it forced me to be resourceful, right? Because awesome. I wasn't being resourceful before that. But yeah, guys, that's my quick one. And now I am.
One more time, name of your group, Lewis. Throw that out there.
Yeah, Digital Entrepreneur Accelerator. If you guys want to hang out in there, bit.ly/Lewis group. You guys can find me on there.
Amazing. Okay, Amanda.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Lewis.
See ya.
Amanda, real quick, what did you do right?
I feel really, really good about treating people with love and kindness. So at the end of the day, if, knock on wood, but like wherever, whenever the day is.
Don't die, Amanda. I'll be very sad.
But let's just say whenever the day is, I feel that the people that would show up to my funeral would say like she was a really like genuine person, was really nice. She really cared about me. She really, definitely loved me here on earth. And I just felt good in her presence. And so that's what I feel really, really good about. Like every client, everybody I've worked with says that I really love them.
Beautiful. Your group, one more. Actually, how can they find you, Amanda?
Yeah, so I collaborate with Taya Roxon, Next Generation Thought Leaders, bit.ly/ThoughtLeaderFB group.
Amazing. Arne, 10 seconds. What did you do right, and what's your group?
What did I do right? I went deep instead of wide. I really figured out how to become the go-to person for Facebook groups and really, really intimately understand that and all the other factors that tie into business success related to Facebook groups. Okay, marketing funnels, different channels, different ways to do it, different ways to position yourself, different ways to create content, and just really understanding how all the big picture fits together, and then building up an organization that supports that and helps a lot of people do that. With over 400 people in my program, over 10,000 people have gotten my resources on Facebook group growth. Just having the ability to reach a lot of people has been hugely impactful. So all of that has been amazing. And if you guys want to learn more, fbgroupsforbusiness.com is the place to go. Got plenty of resources for you. And yeah, super awesome to come on for another snack pack.
Hey, okay, guys, my last thing is what I did right is I surrounded myself with people who know what's possible. I actively went about surrounding myself with entrepreneurs. My mama was the only entrepreneur I knew. I was like, I'm going to interview 100 entrepreneurs before I turn 25. I got to about 52 or so, and then I stopped counting because everyone was introducing everyone to everyone. And when you hang around people who know what's possible, it doesn't feel so scary to raise your prices, to ask for a lot, and to dream really freaking big. And don't hang around people who say that's not realistic. They have a limited view of what's realistic. You decide what's realistic based on the reality that you position yourself in. If you want to hang out with me and all my crazy pants peeps, join us in the Badass Communicators Club. We love you, snack packers. Thank you for joining us. And next time we'll have some other crazy members join us. Bye, everybody.